Welcome back to the State Champs Signing Day Special. This is the third annual one. I'm Kyle Bogenschutz, and pleasured every year to be joined by a couple of fine gentlemen. We're representing essentially every radio station broadcast within the various 30 miles. We have Sam Webb to my far right, obviously, Sports Talk 1050 WTK, also with GoBlueWolverine.com, of Scout.com, and then we have the venerable Rico Beard of Spartan Mag, Rivals.com, Detroit Sports 105.1. So this should be an exciting segment, gentlemen. It's like Christmas morning. It looks like you guys got a couple of presents you want to exchange maybe here?
No, this is the gift that keeps on giving. Paul Bunyan pays taxes in Ingham County. He stays up there so long.
Hey, you know, all I have to say is Jim Harbaugh. That's my answer to everything you say is number 4, Jim Harbaugh. That's it.
How many games he won?
Rico, it doesn't matter, man.
So is this like the
I only came to say Jim Harbaugh.
Okay, there it is.
Only came to say Jim Harbaugh.
I only get 15 seconds because we need to know.
That's all you need.
Well, we're going to give you plenty of time, Rico. Obviously, we got to talk about Harbaugh. We need to know what he had for breakfast, earlier this morning. It's quite a big deal as
This guy with the
Rico
props,
reaches.
There you go.
Oh, yeah, Breakfast of Champions.
This is what he puts on his cereal.
Absolutely.
We care about Jim Harbaugh.
Was that with
very
Raisin
much.
Bran or
He's
Cheerios?
silent.
Hey, man, you know,
That's the Jim Harbaugh edition.
we put together that care package for Mark D'Antonio a couple years ago. You remember that, right?
I know.
When he was feeling kind of under the weather, we hooked him up.
So when is Malik gonna sign with Michigan?
I didn't. Hey, man, his mom.
still waiting.
Well, listen.
Okay.
I talked to his mom about
Back
it, and
to you.
she said, look, I'm going to be a good parent, and I'm going to let him do what he wants to do, even if I don't think it's a great decision.
Kyle, I can't wait to hear about this year's savior at the University of Michigan.
Yeah, Jim Harbaugh.
There's still a lot going on from a recruiting perspective. We can get into what's going to happen next fall. We could probably end with that as far as predictions goes. But when we talk about the signing day classes for Michigan, I mean, it's still very much in flux. Jim Harbaugh is still visiting a lot of kids. Where are we at right now, Sam, and I guess trying to finish out that 2015 class?
Yeah, absolutely. Michigan picked up an extra scholarship when it was determined that Justice Hayes wasn't going to be back for his 5th year. So they are turning over every stone. That means committed kids aren't necessarily committed in the eyes of the University of Michigan, meeting with guys like Mike Weber, for instance, who's committed to their arch rival, Ohio State. Not going to let that die. Jim Harbaugh. So you have him going down to New Mexico and picking off Texas quarterback Zach Gentry, who is a big-time 6'6", 230-pound quarterback, 4-star kid, number 19 in the country, and a mobile kid. And that's really, I think, is the priority, or was the priority for this class, was helping solidify the quarterback position and having some more competition there. So between him and a local kid, Alex Malzone, I think Michigan's going to have a lot more competition at that spot.
Why do you feel they went with 2 quarterbacks in this class, and do you think that'll be a trend moving forward?
Yeah,
we'll get to you in a second.
I do think it will be a trend. And in the,
I'm just here, man.
In the absence of experience, you want a lot of competition, and then the cream rises to the top. And I think, if anything, he was able to intensify things by bringing in a kid, a heralded kid, into the equation. Now, he's going to be at a deficit because all the other guys are going to be here for the spring. Alex is already enrolled, so they're going to be able to get the offense together, get some chemistry with the receivers. Zach Gentry's not going to have that, but what he does have is he's the biggest of the guys, he's the fastest of the guys, and his arm rival Shane Morrison, so he has the talent to really compete right away.
And plus, they'll have a 2-quarterback offense where both will be on the field, throwing 2 balls.
Well, there's going to be multiple ways to beat Michigan State, especially with Pat Narduzzi now, off to Pittsburgh. But it did seem like Mark D'Antonio and that staff were prepared for that move. How do you think it'll affect them on the field, and also from a recruiting perspective?
From a recruiting perspective, Pat Narduzzi is one of the main recruiters. It's going to hurt a little bit, but they brought in Mark Schneider from Texas A&M, not necessarily to run the defense, but he's a guy that's there for recruiting purposes. He'll also help out on defense, don't get me wrong. But they prepare. Harlan Barnett has been groomed to be the next defensive coordinator. He's the co-coordinator now, but on game day, anybody who makes the call on game day, that's the real coordinator to me. So,
looking at Michigan State from a need standpoint, how do you think they established this class? I mean, this class has been pretty much done for quite some time up in Eastland.
It has. You're probably going to look at, they just picked up Drake Martinez yesterday, JUCO safety, Taylor Martinez's little brother. And you're probably looking at
Did Michigan offer him?
No, Michigan can't take JUCOs, so
they
that's
can't
only
take
Michigan
JUCOs.
State.
They can't win either. You're looking at probably going to look at Andrew and David Dow, the twins coming out of Ohio, out of St. Edwards. One's a safety, one's an athlete.
You sure you're gonna be able to keep them from Urban?
I think so.
You think so?
Yeah, I think so. But for Michigan State, it's really about depth, because when you go to state, you've already got a lot of people established. Larry Scott, LJ Scott, is probably the only guy out of this class with a legitimate shot to actually play from day one. Everybody else is probably going to end up getting redshirted. That's the Mark D'Antonio way. Out of last year's class, 18 guys got redshirted. So, you know, it's not all the pomp and circumstances like some schools. They actually come to Michigan State and develop their players, and the players get better, so they become fifth-year players like a Tony Lippett, and as you see him playing in Senior Bowls and doing things like that. How many Michigan players in the Senior Bowl?
I give them credit. They've been able to establish their program. But see, here's how I look at it. You see, I don't know if you're too young to maybe know this reference, but they say the sun shines on the dog's behind every now and then. Well, Michigan State is like a big old behind. Been shining on it for a little while longer. But see, the sun goes down, Rico. The sun goes down, and guess who came in when it was dark? Guess who came in when it was dark?
You paid enough for him.
Listen,
Harbaugh.
you have to pay for quality.
Jim Harbaugh.
You got to pay for quality.
Jim Harbaugh didn't pay
Hey, man,
for it.
there's no
All right.
question. That everywhere he's been, he wins, and he wins
Has
quickly.
he won at Michigan yet?
He just got here.
Okay.
When he was there, they won, and he's back now. So
Finally make a bowl game?
I'm just
All
saying.
right. So the quick question, I guess, becomes now that Michigan State goes to Michigan for the first time in 3 years, they played two straight times in East Lansing. What's going to happen this fall? Can Jim Harbaugh beat Michigan State in his first season?
No. Let's be real.
Well, listen, we don't know who the signal caller is. I mean, listen, the man is still human. Got to develop a quarterback.
He's not gonna
see
play.
what happens.
He's not gonna play.
But for you to dismiss it, because listen, here's what you got to know about Jim Harbaugh as well. He stepped onto the plate at Stanford, and there was this big dog named Pete Carroll over at USC, and he said, "We bow to no man, and we bow to no team." So if he's gonna say that about Pete Carroll, you think he's flinching about Mark D'Antonio?
You know what?
Are you serious?
Those words
you gotta,
are
come on, man.
Wait,
and
those
what did he
words
do?
sound real
What did he
familiar,
do?
Sam.
He pulled off the biggest upset in the history of college football.
Sam, I'm glad you mentioned those words. They're very familiar. I believe Mark D'Antonio said them about Michigan.
Oh, he did that. What? He
We
really?
bow to no man.
Well,
and
okay.
pride comes from the fall.
We'll see how that works out during the Jim Harbaugh era.
And we'll obviously have plenty of time to talk about it. I feel like you two will do plenty of that on the air and even off the air, possibly. Of course, we're going to go ahead and send it back over to Stephanie Funkhauser, a Michigan lady herself, with some more Funky Five.